Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I ask that we stay standing in a moment of silence. Council Vice President Orlando Mercado lost his grandmother this morning, so let's all give a moment of silence for Orlando and his family. Thank you. This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the schedule of meetings of the Township Council established and adopted by the Township Council, which schedule designated the time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We're using electronic amplifying and recording device in order to obtain audible and clear record. We request all those wishing to speak state your name and address directly into the microphone. Recording device to be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office shall be the official record of the Township Council meeting. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
He is late to do court.
Mr. Schmidt?
Present.
Mr. Seiler?
Present.
Mrs. Gintek?
Present.
Mrs. Trotto? Present. Mr. Mercado?
Absent.
Mr. Bianchini?
Present.
Mayor?
Here.
Mr. Moffett?
Present.
Mr. Lechner?
Here.
Chief Earl?
Here.
Mr. Carlemere?
Here.
Mr. Cardis?
Here.
We have a presentation today. Mayor? Today is our honor to honor Timber Creek football team. The high school football team had a tremendous year this year, and as a representative of our township, everywhere they go. So it's our pleasure, the mayor, council, and I, to honor this team and the achievements that they had this year. I'll read the proclamation. Whereas the Gloucester Township Mayor and Council are pleased to salute the Timber Creek football team in recognition of their outstanding accomplishments. And whereas the Timber Creek Chargers football team, under the direction of Coach Rob Hinson, are the 2011 Group 3 champions. Coach Hinson here? Yes, sir. Come join us, please. Whereas the Timber Creek Chargers football team, under the direction of Coach Rob Hinson, are the 2011 Group 3 champions. The Chargers proudly ended their season undefeated with a record of 12-0. Whereas the members of the 2011 Timber Creek football team displayed extraordinary talents and outstanding sportsmanship, and we'll name each one. Whereas the Gloucester Township Mayor and Council acknowledge that the Timber Creek football team, under the expert guidance of Coach Rob Hinson, and assistant coaches Karim Fisher, Chuck Newson, Will Hickson, Eric Williams, Pat Thomas, Amin Muhammad, Wayne Goldman, Jamil Sabari, Paul Cabra, and Gene Robinson. Pardon my mispronunciations there. With the strong support of their family and friends, performed with strength and determination throughout their memorable season. And whereas their talent and exemplary efforts in seeking and achieving athletic excellence have earned for the members and coaches of the 2011 Timber Creek football team the respect of Gloucester Township Mayor and Council, as well as the pride of the residents of the state of New Jersey. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, David R. Mayor, and the Gloucester Township Council do hereby proclaim January 9th, 2012 as Timber Creek Football Team Day. And we commend the team players and coaches for their exceptional efforts, competitive spirit, and evidenced by their accomplishments. Congratulations.
Good evening, and thank everyone here for attending and especially for supporting these young men, not only tonight, but throughout the entire season. It's a really special honor for us to be recognized, by our school, but also by our township, because, as residents of the township, a lot of guys know who you are, but, nights like this, let those guys be seen and stuff like that. So it's a very nice honor, and I'm very proud of my guys, my assistant coaches, my booster club, my administration, everyone involved with our program. And on behalf of them, I'd like to thank the township and the mayor for recognizing us tonight. Coach Jamil Sabadri. Coach Kareem Fisher. Eric Church. Brandon Smart. Justice Davila. Mike Tarilla. Phil Sarpong. Adam Mawson. Matt Adams. Caleb Kreider. Talik Harris. Ben Delgado. Pat Fithian. Miles Nash. Quanzel Lambert. Dante Hardwick. Solomon Potter. Ryan Trent. Isaiah Austin. Greg Webb. Calvin Lowe. Bill Burke. Jagger Green. Jamie Chavo. Juan Drennan. Kevin Casey. Shaler Blackshear. And Matthew Coombs.
Let me echo what Council President Bianchini said in his opening remarks, and congratulate all of you, Coach, and your coaching staff, and of course the players of the Timber Creek High School football team. You have put Gloucester Township on the map. It's certainly the first time in the history of Timber Creek. You are champions. You are champions today, but you were champions when you took the field in the beginning of the season, because you have shown what hard work, what discipline, what dedication can achieve. And I hope that these are lessons that you will take with you for the rest of your life. But I can't tell you how fortunate we are that you have stuck to it, that you fought your way to an undefeated season. And certainly we congratulate you on behalf of myself and our entire council and all the close to 70,000 residents of Gloucester Township. So be very proud of what you have accomplished, because we are very proud of you. And I will also tell you that we have a new mayor's wellness campaign going on in Gloucester Township, because I need to lose a couple pounds here. So don't expect me to come out to your practices, because I won't be able to take that. But we did have flag football the other 3 months ago. And I'm just glad you guys didn't show up for that, because I don't think even though
The mayor pulled a hamstring, but that's okay.
it's because he tackled me. It was only flag football. But please keep your your focus on your wellness, on being in good shape, your body in good shape, your mind in good shape, your spirits in good shape. So congratulations to all of you on a job well done. Thank you.
LSU!
We will have a 5-minute recess.
How you doing?
These guys are
I took my walk this morning. Open in the dark.
Well, we thought it was
Something getting in the way. I want to
I like the dialogue you and John have going. He has to expand it. She said 1,500 words wasn't enough. So let's make it into another book. Or 1,500 letters, I think. It's characters. It was 1,500 words. Yeah, right. I appreciate the effort.
Try to keep things this. We're trying.
Some, but I'm like, gently, spin it, and it's just, and he takes care of it. I think so. You gotta get your heart rate up when you're, he has goals. He wants to be here till he's 105. So he's got 14 more years left. Oh yeah, you changed that much. Happy New Year. You're gonna get your heart rate up. Okay, your blood That's his goal. However, Thursday's on Ashes and his cousin was born. She's 99. Sister died. So I mean, he's proactive. He's a stubborn Irishman. He's made up his mind. He's going to be here. No, we took someone to the stairs. Going down on Thursday, going back on Friday. $8 fee. Four of us are going down and comes back. $200. Well, Spirit has it. But she never gets in the line. So this means going down the highway, so we're going from 7 in the morning. No problem. We're coming back. Leaving on Friday. Child has 2 days down there. That's all you need. Well, she doesn't quite have a lot of faculties You don't want to get on her knees. Well,
please.
Mr. Schmidt? Mr. Seiler? Mrs. Gentek? Here. Mrs. Trotta? Here. Mr. Bianchini?
Present. We'll have the first public portion. Anyone wish to speak on agenda items only, please raise your hand, come to the microphone. Caldor?
Good evening, Council. Ray Poldor, Ariel. Just on the resolution reducing speed on Cross Keys, that would be, I'm sorry, ordinance 11-24.
And there's a second reading where there'll be a public hearing if you want to talk then also. But go ahead and ask your question.
Simple question in that, obviously, the police monitoring Cross Keys Road is ramped up and greatly has improved the accident rate of speeding. What's the justification, or what are we looking for in the way of reducing speed? Obviously, the conversation first comes about, folks are thinking fines and what have you, but what are we using as justification in council wanting to reduce that speed along with Winslow?
Well, we're reducing, as you know, from 50 to 45, and I'll let the chief answer that question. It's on the recommendation of the chief and his staff that we follow along and reduce it. So, Chief, you want to address that, please?
We started an initiative, you remember, the Cross Keys Road Safety Initiative, to join other towns along that region. And one of the first things we immediately recognized that in Monroe Township, Gloucester County, and also Washington Township, as you go further down the road, they already established their speed limit at 45, and ours had remained at 50. Considering, and really we've had the most growth of the entire region, considering the entire corridor of Berlin Cross Keys Road. I mean, that coupled with the enforcement initiative that we did, one, our goal was to reduce crashes along the roadway, and we were successful in that initiative comparing 2010 to 2011. So the enforcement makes a difference, but obviously having the appropriate speed limit matched with the development that's been out there, and then also matching up with the two other towns that took the same effort, was the thought process behind it.
Okay, and that basically answers just about everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Jim Williams, 3 Tiffany Place, Sturbridge Oaks. Mr. President, Council, Mr. Mayor, along the same lines, I see, in reading that, I drove from the Super Wawa out to Route 42, and I could be wrong, but I didn't see any speed limit posted. Is that going to be posted, or is there a...
On the Black Horse Pike we're talking?
No, I'm talking about
Cross Keys.
One across the Keys, yes.
Chief, do you...
And I'm sorry, Mr. President, I missed, you're saying for in
Well,
Gloucester Township?
on that ordinance of raising the speed limit across Keys Road, I didn't see any speed
We're
limit.
reducing the speed limit.
Reducing it, all right. I didn't see any speed limit posted.
Well, no, we're waiting for council, for the passing of the ordinance before we propose.
Even now, if it's 50, was it 50 now?
It was 50, and what happens is by statute, it was an unposted roadway, so it is 50 miles per hour.
Maybe that's why coming home from church, I see 3 or 4 cars pulled over on a Sunday morning getting tickets. I don't know if that's speed limit or what it is, you know.
Well, we've done a variety of enforcement for many reasons out there, not just speeding.
Right. There's one other thing. I don't know where that would come into play, but coming from, and I want to say where the on the right-hand side where the Nike missile base is, you're coming into that intersection where Acme would be on the right, the Super Wawa would be on the left, and you're going towards the intersection there. At the intersection, I think if you would look into it, I think there's been numerous accidents there. What happens is coming at you, people, what they do is there's a red light going across Keys Road, but there's a turn signal coming the opposite way. And what happened, as a matter of fact, I witnessed over the last 2 months 2 accidents myself. People see the red light, and they don't see the these left-hand turn coming at them, and they make right-hand turns at that intersection. I think it could be considered. I didn't know if I'm it should be now or, you know, I should ask later, but if it could be considered somewhere along the line of no turn on red, and it's worth considering, you know. Thank you.
And the chief will take a look at that. Thank you, chief. Thank you. Mr. Barry?
Evening Council, Joshua Berry, Broad Acres Drive. I want to talk about Ordinance O-12-1. This is the $6 million bonding ordinance that looks like we're doing a refi of 5 or 6 Series 2003 bonds. There was some information that was missing from the resolution, namely what is the savings to our town from this, and it talks about a lower interest rate. What is the current interest rate and what is the future?
We're going to be saving $215,000 by redoing this, and I'll let Tom address the...
I believe the mayor actually has an email on that explaining it.
Yeah, I mean, it's $215,000 for this year, over a 4-year period. Interest rate
It was 3.85.
is 3.85, yep.
So what was the old rate?
That was the old rate.
Yeah, that's the old rate.
In order to get this approved, that's why there's also an application to go before local finance board. You must demonstrate 3% savings net. That's net of all the cost of the issuance.
So that 215 savings is after the 120K cap that may be paid towards whether it's bond returns or interest or whatever fees?
It's net of whatever the professional fees were.
Okay. All right, well, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
And just in the future, for these types of resolutions and ordinances, if we could include this information, just to make it clear so folks like me who are reading it, oh, okay, here are the numbers, the before, the after, and a ballpark for net savings, realizing that it's an estimate and things might change. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no other hands, we close the first public portion. Ordinances. These are ordinances second reading, and there will be a public hearing. Ordinance O-11-23. Ordinance amending Chapter 81 of the Code of the Township of Gloucester entitled Vehicles and Traffic of the Code of the Township of Gloucester. This ordinance allows the police to have jurisdiction on enforcing traffic rules at Cherrywood Apartments. Chief, anything to add to that?
No, Mr. President.
Motion to adopt. Oh, we need a public hearing. We now have a public hearing on this ordinance. Seeing no hands, we close the public hearing. Motion to adopt.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
I have read the ordinances for the second reading, and therefore I will be voting on them tonight, so I vote yes.
Mrs. Gentek?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
I'd like to make a note that since I wasn't on council when the first readings were, but I have reviewed and understand the ordinances now, so yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Ordinance O-11-24. Ordinance amending Chapter 81, Section 81-31, entitled Speed Limits of the Code of the Township of Gloucester, reducing the speed limit along northerly side of Berlin Cross Keys Road, the Township of Gloucester, Camden County, State of New Jersey. This ordinance allows the speed limit along the northerly side of Berlin Cross Keys Road to go from 50 miles an hour to 45. We now have a public hearing on this ordinance. Yes, sir.
Now, this Berlin Cross Keys Road,
State your name and address, please.
Darren Gladden, 44 Greensway, sorry about that.
Thank you.
Now, is this a county road, town road, or state road?
I believe it's a county road.
Okay, now, is the county notified about this, that you were doing all this? Speed limit, changing speed limit and stuff like that?
They have to give their consent. Which
Yeah.
we received, yes.
So it's going through, so nobody's legit in the court of law for tickets and all that, that it's officially 45 miles an hour through the county.
This is part of the process, but correct, that's why we're doing it.
Okay, that's all. Thank you. That's all I needed to know.
Thank you.
The record should also reflect during the general public portion, there were some comments on this.
Anyone else? Seeing no other hands, we close the public hearing. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gentek?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotta?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Ordinance O-11-25. Ordinance amending Chapter 73, Section 73A, entitled Street Address Numbering of the Code of the Township of Gloucester for the redesignation of streets within the Township of Gloucester, Camden County, State of New Jersey. This is changing the names, the designations of the names of the current streets: Bridge Street to Robert E. Kelly Boulevard, East Access Road to Love Road, West Access Road to Zimmerman Road, and College Road to Commencement Road. We now have a public hearing on this ordinance. Seeing no hands, we close the public hearing. Motion to adopt.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gentek?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotta?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Ordinance O-11-26. Ordinance authorizing execution of tax abatement agreement between the Township of Gloucester and BCC 15 LLC for premises block 1851 lot 5. This is also known as Buffalo Wild Wings. This will allow the township to execute a tax abatement with BCC 15 LLC. We now have a public hearing on this ordinance. Mr. Berry.
Good evening, sir. Joshua Berry again. Some of these questions are also for ordinance O-11-27 and 28 as well. There's some information that was missing from the resolution. The first one is, what is the cost to the taxpayers for any of these three tax abatements?
Well, Mr. Palumbo is here, but the tax abatements are on improvements only.
Correct, yeah, there is no cost to the taxpayers. What it is a phase-in of the assessments based on what their improvement value is over a period of 5 years.
Okay, so, and again, in the future, when we have these types of ordinances, if you could please include that financial data. Because if I go on the website and just look at the current tax rate of each of these properties, and then use the schedule that you have in the resolution, it comes out to be quite a significant rate, especially for the Wawa property. So again, to make it clear, as well as the justification for the tax break. Why does, for instance, Wawa need a tax break? They're going to open up wherever they think is profitable, whether they get a tax break or not.
Legally, they're entitled to it.
Right, but as you guys have got the discretion, even if they're entitled, does that mean that they automatically get it?
I believe it'd be discriminatory not to get them.
Right, in certain areas, if I can just finish up on the question, when the ordinance was adopted, that if properties are within a certain zone, such as a redevelopment zone, those kinds of issues, they're entitled to get it. So once we adopted that ordinance, actually we originally adopted it back in the late 80s and followed through with it every 10 years like we're supposed to. Once you do that, you really cannot turn them down, otherwise they can take you to court and you end up losing. So precedents has been set. We do establish the original ordinance which allows for these abatements. The idea is to give them some kind of a break, which really doesn't turn out to be too much of a break. It's almost a 50-50 split in terms of dollars. But we do this, in fact, to entice commercial development in areas that normally wouldn't be developed. And the ones that you have on today are technically in areas that were in need of rehabilitation or redevelopment zones. So pretty much there isn't as much discretion in those as there would be in an area that was not.
Okay, then, thank you very much. And again, for, with all of these types of ordinances, please include the dollar amounts or whatever it is, so it's there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just to follow up on that, those numbers do come out once it gets approved. I can't really do the numbers until the approval process is through.
Thank you, Chuck. Aaron?
Aaron Ladder, 44 Greens Way. What I want to understand about tax abatements, I'm a property owner. I own a small little piece of land in Township, and I spend $8,000 a year in taxes. Now, when I come off and I look at businesses, okay, they're looking to profit, and they pay, say, I saw a couple at $16,000 a year, and I see their land that they own, and they own a ton of land. Okay, I understand we need business in town, but we got to look at these tax abatements, because honestly, when we start handing out 5 years pilot projects, 5 years tax abatements and stuff like that, what happens after the 5th year is, if their taxes do go up, all of a sudden you see the board ups. So when you start voting on these things, I would like to know personally how your feelings on that is, because your taxpayers suffer when the businesses pay less. You know, we're a community together. You're shaking your head, but I pay $8,000 a year in taxes.
And so do I, sir.
And I got a little small piece of
I have
land.
the same type of land you have. I live in the same development.
I'm just letting you know right now. When I see like, oh, we're going to give them a tax break for 5 years, or if I see that, oh, we're going to give them a tax break for 10 years. You see businesses, they'll last 5 years in there. And then the next thing you know, they're not going to make a profit, and they're going to have to pay their taxes. And the next thing, we got an eyesore in town. So think about that. Have a nice day.
Yes.
Darren, the first whereas clause of the agreement says that these projects are designed to provide gainful employment within the township, assist in the economic development of the township, and expand commerce within township. What they're doing is they are improving their facility. And we're saying, okay, if you improve your facility, we're not going to reduce your taxes, but we will not tax that portion of the improvement the same way that we're taxing the land and the structures on the land prior to the improvements. So there's no reduction in
Okay,
taxes.
all right. Now for the taxpayer citizens to come off on doing that. When they do improvement on their houses, now I can't do it because I live in a development and we have the same type of houses. But if a taxpayer has a ranchers out there and he puts on a duplex, okay, now he gets assessed. Now his taxes go up. Some go up dramatically for a homeowner. So if we're doing it for business, now if somebody's improving their home as a taxpaying citizen that just lives there, we jack up their taxes and then force them almost to move out. Do you understand what I'm saying now?
I hear you, and it's a debatable issue.
Yeah, it is debatable.
I just think that one is designed for generating business more broadly than simply a homeowner improving his property. I haven't studied the public policy concerns, and I'm sure that some of the other people, and Chuck may be able to elaborate.
Yeah, just to elaborate on that, we do have a residential abatement, which is actually an exemption for 5 years up to $25,000 in work. So if somebody does do that, we have the incentive that if their home needs work or needs to be improved, we do have an abatement program for that. We've had that since the late 70s, and it's worked out very well for a lot of people that have improved their homes, put an addition on, siding, you know, those kinds of things. So we do have that program, as well as we do have the incentive program for the commercial. Now, the incentive program for the commercial abatements is different than the residential, and it has different types of circumstances. But again, the idea is to create jobs, to create increase ratables that will help and entice areas that normally would not have been able to be done. The properties that we have had abatements on, commercial abatements on over the years, have been properties that are in technically bad locations for somebody to do that. And we have put abatements on strip stores and those kinds of things, would have allowed businesses to, because most of those people that rent those stores pay the taxes, and we've allowed them to establish over a period of 5 years. And The vast majority of them, I would say 70 to 80%, have held on. So the system does work, and it is a help.
Well, I see the system working in certain ways too, and I don't see them working in other ways. We have businesses leaving here dramatically. So are they getting considered for these tax abatements too? Like I said, we're seeing a lot of business leave this area quick. I mean, every time you turn around, there's oh, did you know this one closed down here? So, like I said, it seems like Wawa is getting a tax abatement, but then like little small mom and pop shops are just, they're not getting up. They're getting hit over the head with taxes, and they can't compete with Wawa and them type. And then it seems
we had that situation, but as I mentioned, the Wawas are building these things in particular areas that have been deemed redevelopment zones or areas in need of rehabilitation. So that's something that, you know, whether it's a Wawa or whatever would be built there would be subject to that kind of thing. So we have worked, like I said, be more than happy to take you in my office.
yeah.
And numbers.
One day we'll have a chit chat.
Sure.
Okay, sorry to bother you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no other hands, we close that public hearing. Motion to adopt. On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gintek?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotta?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Ordinance O-11-27. Ordinance authorizing execution of tax abatement agreement between Township of Gloucester and Sun National Bank for premises block 1101, lot 1. This ordinance allows the execution of the tax abatement for Sun National Bank. Now have a public hearing on this ordinance. Seeing no hands, we close the public hearing. Motion to adopt. On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gintek?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotta?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Ordinance O-11-28. Ordinance authorizing execution of tax abatement agreement between the Township of Gloucester and Wawa Inc. for premises block 7401, lot 8, pursuant to the C-441 PL 1990. This ordinance allows for the execution of tax abatement of Township and Gloucester and Wawa Inc. Now have a public hearing on this ordinance. Seeing no hands, we close the public hearing. Motion to adopt. On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gintek?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotta?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Now have ordinances of first reading. Ordinance O-12-01. Refunding bond ordinance providing for the refunding of the township's outstanding callable general obligatory obligation bonds, Series 2003, dated March 1, 2003, authorizing the issuance of up to $6 million of general obligation refunding bonds of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, New Jersey, to finance the cost thereof, making certain determinations and covenants in connection therewith, and authorizing certain related actions in connection with the foreclosing. As stated before, this is a refinancing of the bonds of March 2003 for a savings of $215,000. Tom, anything to add?
No, sir.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gintek?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotta?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Ordinance O-12-02. Model ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and establish a cap bank. This ordinance will allow the township to exceed the 2.5% tax cap and bring it to 3.5. Tom, anything to add?
We adopt this every year. I make the recommendation to adopt it. It allows you to bank cap, really in terms of the overall process now that the 2% tax levy cap is in effect. It doesn't, from my opinion, it's meaningless in terms of the appropriation because the 2% tax levy cap circumvents or overrules the appropriation. So again, this will allow you to bank cap and provide the necessary appropriations to protect the safety of the tenant.
Thank you, Tom. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gintek?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. We now have resolutions of consent. We ask that any council person wishing to remove any of these resolutions, please let me know now. If not, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gintek?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
27, resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, New Jersey, authorizing the preparation and submission of an application to the local finance board pursuant to NJSA 40A251.
This resolution authorizes the township to prepare and submit an application to the local finance board. Tom, anything to add to that?
No, it's a necessary process in issuing refunding bonds.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gintek?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
28, resolution adopting a temporary budget for the Township of Gloucester, temporary budget appropriation for 2012.
As the title states, this resolution adopts a temporary budget for the 2012 year. Tom, anything to add to that?
No, it's just a step to get you to the point where you can adopt the budget.
Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gintek?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes.
29, resolution authorizing release of securities for 620 Lower Landing Road in the Township of Gloucester.
This resolution authorizes the release of securities for 620 Lower Landing Road. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gintek?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Motions?
RA 1300, Gloucester Township Scholarship Committee, February 24th. RA 1301, Gloucester Township Rotary Club Foundation, February 18th, 2012.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes.
Mrs. Gintek?
Yes.
Mrs. Strato?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Mayor's report, Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening and Happy New Year to all of you. Let me begin by thanking you for the support regarding the refinancing of the bonds that we're in the process of doing. As I mentioned earlier, we're saving $215,000 over a course of several years. That is on top of the already $540,000 that we have saved over the last 2 years in refinancing our bonds. We are constantly looking at ways, of course, to save money, but we are looking at it from a financial perspective and looking at all those bonds that the township has issued over the years. When is the best opportunity to refinance them? When can we refinance them? And I want to thank Tom for his efforts in once again saving taxpayers money. So over the last 2 years with this, we would have saved $755,000. So I appreciate Tom's efforts in that and council's support for that. Wanted to start off the new year talking about a very exciting project that I believe will touch the lives of many in a special way. The Field of Dreams, which you can, I don't know if some of you can see, but the audience can see. Gloucester Township Field of Dreams is a proposed ballpark, if you will, playing facility that will be specifically designed for children with disabilities. About, I guess, 6 months ago or so, Councilwoman Gintek, Kevin McGahee from the Gloucester Township Rotary Club and myself traveled to Absecon to witness how they operate their Field of Dreams. And it is a remarkable process. It's really a heartwarming experience to see those children that may not have the ability to play sports go out and play on a field that is specifically designed for children with disabilities, specifically designed to allow wheelchairs, specifically designed to allow walkers. And I want to thank Council President Bianchini, who actually brought this idea to our attention for his vision. I know Glenn, you have spent many years in sports and coaching, and much of your time giving back to the young people of our community. And this, I think, is just will add to, again, improving the quality of life for all of our residents. I bring that up today because, as you can see, we have done a preliminary design of the field, which will be located at our community park, where there is a space that is not currently being utilized. And this particular field will fit nicely at community park. But I bring it to your attention today because we are now kicking off the fundraising component of this. We are going to make this a community event where we will reach out to the community, ask folks to make not just monetary donations, but I think what is equally important would be donations of labor, donations of supplies, material that can make this a reality. And so I think it is another project that can set Gloucester Township apart in a very, very positive way. We will be working with our civic organizations. The Gloucester Township Rotary Club has already said that they will make this one of their main projects. I know some of the other civic organizations like the Lions Club and others will be joining in on that process. But what we had to do first is get it designed so that we could show folks what we're talking about. So I'm excited about it. We're excited about kicking that off in a new year and looking forward to making this a reality. So, Council President, thanks for your vision. Thank you.
We do have a question from GT eGov Access. It's from Linda Musser, who lives at 50 Cameron Circle, Laurel Springs. Mrs. Musser asked the question, United Computer was the vendor for GTIT in 2011. At the reorg in 2012, they again were selected as vendor for the IT networking. Why can't they get our live stream working properly? I tried back in November to watch a council meeting, and not one word was distinguishable. Everything was garbled. If they can't get our live stream to work, why are they selected? First, United Computer was not the vendor in 2011. It was Data Glove. United Computer is the vendor for 2012. Really, the IT company does not have much to do with the live streaming. That's really the township. And the township has purchased a new computer for the live stream in the effort of trying to make it work a whole lot better. The live stream was originally, the computer equipment was donated by the Black Horse Pike Regional School District. It's a free service, and with the purchase of the new computer, our goal is to make that work as clear as if you're attending the meeting. And I know the mayor's office is currently continuing to monitor that and to work with that. Please make that part of it. We'll now have the second public portion. Anyone wish to speak on any item, please raise your hand and come to the microphone. Ray?
Again, Council Repolder, a couple of quick questions. Current update on the recycle bins that have not made it to certain areas of our town. Any status on that? Any thing that we've gotten farther that's going to allow these people to do what the rest of the township is doing?
Yeah, Ray, I've met with different homeowners associations, Terrestria, Valley Brook, to work out any of the issues that they may have and to see if we can expand those programs there. So, I mean, MUA has ongoing efforts to work with them to do that. So, I think the program has been very successful over the last month or so, especially in light of the fact that we had the holidays and we would, of course, produce more of our recyclable material. So we have increased our recycling at least 30% so far. Again, that's early on, so we're looking to actually increase that more. and continue to, work with those areas that have not received recycling bins.
Okay. You may also be able to address this. Other townships up in Burlington County and where such that probably don't have a program quite like ours, which is growing like ours. The residents receive credits back for the tonnage grants for the amount of recyclables. And it looks like we are going to increase greatly the amount of tonnage and tonnage money that we get back. Will a program run similar to that in Gloucester Township that runs up around in Burlington County, Mount Holly areas, where have you? Some receive tax breaks, some receive coupons for various retail stores and what have you in the area. Is that anything in the works for Gloucester Township?
Right, I know, and I'm sure the mayor will expound on this, but we have each bin has a chip in it, one to identify where it belongs, and two, when we get to that point, we can offer those positive things. There's a program called Recycle Bank, and they're a company that comes in and does it, and we've researched them, and it would be at a good cost to the residents, where we end up spending a lot of money. So I know the mayor likes the idea and wants to work that idea by ourselves, and I'll let the mayor add to that.
Yeah, as Council President was mentioning, we are already prepared to go to phase 2 of this program, which is an incentive program that would increase our recycling tonnage. The towns that you referred to are probably using Recycle Bank, as Council President mentioned. I don't know any that are doing tax breaks, because I've just never heard of that, and I don't know if that's actually legal to do. Although we are looking at everything as far as an incentive program that is concerned. If you look at those communities that have Recycle Bank, there is a cost associated with that. I have met with them 3 times, and each time I have said for them to go back to the drawing board, because I think it's too expensive. And so we're working that through, and our hope is to come up with an incentive program this year sometime. But we have been working with the Recycle Bank. I just think they're too expensive at this time.
In essence, when I refer to as tax, the MUA, the cost you pay for MUA is indeed a tax on taxpayers, whether it's a cost fee or what have you.
Yeah.
They get basically, as the MUA's benefit, the residents benefit.
Yeah, I mean, that is something I've looked into, actually from a rebate program. Problem is, when it's my understanding under state law, you can't commingle recycling money with your sewer money. So I'd be interested to see those towns, and let me know, Ray, those towns that are doing that.
I'll get you some of that
We
information.
are looking at all of that as a possibility.
Yeah, Ray, you have to be careful with the funding of the MUA. You have to keep the waste, the sewer waste, separate from what they call solid waste. So you can't cross them over.
Well, I know that even before the recycling stepped up, our MUA in some years has had surpluses, and I don't quite know where it helped out the taxpayers or the payers of those fees. Maybe that might help with the incentive with some of that surplus money, along with extra tonnage money coming in. Maybe the folks here in Gloucester Township could see, as we share services, maybe we can share in the profits as well. My second question is, we adopted a temporary budget now. In years past, we've waited for the state to allocate whatever funds we would be getting from them before we could pass a permanent budget. What are we looking at in the way of a estimated date as to when we can have a solid budget and not get estimated tax bills?
Well, they've already extended the introduction date to the first action meeting that you have in March. So the extension was to the end of February, and with the caveat that if you didn't have a meeting at the end of February, you would be able to do it the first action meeting in March. Now, as far as state aid is concerned, we don't apply for state aid any longer, because you basically have to bankrupt the town to get state aid, and then you're giving up control of the state. So your guess is as good as mine when the state's going to release all the numbers. I would hope that they don't reduce the state aid, but I can't tell you now until we see the numbers.
Okay. And then once that action is taken in March, we can move forward with adopting a more resounding. So moving to a calendar year has benefited us in one way, and it's kind of hurting us in another then.
Hurting us in what way?
We're not going to have a solid 2012 tax that is a permanent tax until sometime after March or April.
Yeah, but that's actually sooner than what was taking place in the fiscal year. In the fiscal year, we were going as much as 9 months without a budget. So this way, statutorily, you need to have the rate struck. Everybody has to have the rate struck so that the county can certify all the rates. And they'll do that sometime in June. So when the bills go out in the end of June or July, they'll have all 4 quarters in there, and they'll take account of the whatever the rate is.
And we still could wind up 5, maybe 6 months into this calendar year before that budget is so. But you're saying the July bill will be more of a realistic number. And again, sometimes folks will see the estimated bill, and then there's a little catch-up in there, and it puts people in a little bit behind once in a while.
Well, there's no estimated bill now. This is an actual bill. We're going to send out, we used to send estimated bills. We're going to send an actual bill out in July that will cover August, November, February, and May. Get all 4 now. That was the advantage of going to calendar year. We just sent 1 bill out instead of sending 2 bills out. Sometimes we were sending 3 bills out. But the state was delaying the adoption of the budget. So you had to do an estimated bill.
Okay, still a little bit.
See, all advantages to being on the calendar year.
And I'm not knocking the calendar year. It just seems like we can never have a budget carved in stone in the beginning of the year that we're actually, it's obviously better, but not as best.
It's not the process. It's promulgated by the state.
I understand that.
You can't have a budget right now.
This may be very, very minor, minute, but Mr. Vincini, I know that procedurally you like to dot your I's and cross your T's on, and I really am sorry for it to be on the ordinance number 11-24. If the clerk would be so kind to read out who made the motion, who made the second on that.
Mrs. Gantek and Mr. Hutchison.
Okay. Only for the reason being that Mr. Hutchinson was walking in during the reading of that ordinance, and sat down and heard the motion and paused, and then finally Mr. Hutchinson seconded that. I guess it's just my opinion that he wasn't here during the reading of that and still was offered a second. Are you comfortable with that, Mr. Banchini?
I am, yes. Is there anything wrong with that, Dave?
I'm sure every member of council had opportunities to this all on their personal emails and have it available to them. I'm sure the first time any one of them read the ordinance was not this evening. It was in preparation for being here.
If you're comfortable with it, that's all I was asking. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Good night.
Yes, sir.
Paul D. Bartolo, Ohio Avenue, Blackwood. I have a question, it's kind of twofold, regarding red light traffic cameras. I have specifically, with video camera and timing, looked at the light on Peter Cheeseman Road, coming from Kmart, turning left onto Blackwood Clementon. And when I was in traffic court, it was explained to me by a police officer that the yellow light stays on 1 second per 10 miles per hour. I definitely timed that yellow light under 2 seconds. That's a 35 mile per hour road. Now, what I'd like to know is, do we have documentation? I've also read, and this is hearsay because I read it in the newspaper, that some of these yellow lights are being trimmed, and I know for a fact that red light cameras do not stop accidents. Extended yellow lights do. They are more safe. I stopped short at some of these lights that I know where cameras are at because, and then realized I didn't look in my rearview mirror. All right, so do we have documentation that specifically shows the timing, or is there any calibration documentation for these red lights?
We just approved, I think, that.
Every 6 months, we
look at all the yellow lights and make sure they're in conformance with the state requirements. I don't recall what the particular timing we had on that when we timed it, but it was over 3 seconds. I know that. It was probably closer to 4 seconds.
On which one?
You're talking about the Peter Cheeseman?
Okay, so if I take that again, you're guaranteeing me that that's 3 or 4 seconds?
I'm telling you it meets the state requirements, which is something over 3 seconds at that location. I want to make sure I have the right one. You're at Blackwood, Clementon Road, and Little Gloucester Road, correct?
Yes, I'm coming from Kmart on Little Gloucester Road, making a left.
Road, you're making a left onto...
I'm sorry, Peter Cheeseman. My mistake.
Cheeseman Road.
No, you're right. It's Little Gloucester. He's facing, the McDonald's is on the left, and he's
Yes.
going to make a left.
Okay.
So you're right. It's Little Gloucester Road.
Okay, I'm sorry. Because I taped that on video, and I wasn't just counting. I was using a video camera with a counter on it, and it was under 2 seconds. So I will check again, but is there any calibration information that could be provided to the public?
Sure.
The report that we submitted is a public document. Yes.
Okay, and
Through your office, Chief? Would that be through your office?
Police records, yes, Mr. President, yes.
who do I submit that request to?
You can request it through the clerk, but she will get the information from the chief.
Okay, and that would be for calibration information. Will that be sufficient? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett.
Good evening, everyone. Joshua Berry again. Before I begin, I want to express my condolences to Councilman Mercado on the loss of his grandmother. Orlando, if you're watching tonight, I'm sorry. And then I'd like to begin with some housekeeping items. After the workshop, when I gave the update that we delayed our pay-to-play petition so Roe was not having to work over the holidays until January, she pulled me aside after the meeting, asked for some additional time because she's swamped with the dog licenses. So she and I have worked it out. We'll be submitting them in early February. Again, that was for just a personal thing for Roe because she's already overworked as it is, and I don't want to take out that on her. But I want to begin tonight with some positives. I know that sometimes we tend to be a little negative up here. First, I want to give a call out to Mrs. Gentek. When I saw you at the workshop meeting, I saw an entirely different woman than I saw a year ago. It's been a privilege and an honor to watch you grow over this last year. You were engaged, you were asking thoughtful questions, and I just wanted to say it's good to see you grow as a councilwoman, and I look forward to your growth in the future. I want to give a thank you to Mr. Cantwell, who gave me a personal call this afternoon as a follow-up to the cracks at the Lakeland facility. Oftentimes, as an activist or a watchdog or whatever you want to call me, we bring up issues, whether it's in person or email, and then it goes into a black hole. We don't hear about it. Sometimes I will ask a month later, and that's how I get the reply. So it becomes very frustrating. And so to have our engineer, after he and I went back and forth at the last meeting, to do the research, and he gave me a very technical answer that really allayed my concerns. And so for these types of things in the future, when you do your polling of directors at the end of the meeting, that would be a great time when people bring up these issues just to follow it up, just so we know that you are listening and doing work. Well, you're welcome. But now I want to move into some of the obviously not so happy topics. Sorry, I can't keep away from it. At the workshop, I spoke about some issues that concerned me that I saw over the last couple of weeks. And I'm going to start with the fair and open process. As you guys know, this is something I've been talking about for a while. When it came to the people who put in the RFQs, about half of them were donors, about half of them were not. But yet when it came to the folks who actually were awarded contracts at the reorg, I counted 13 of them, 10 of them were donors, 3 of them were not. And of that 3, one of those companies doesn't exist. This would be the Calori Group. I Googled them, I went through the yellow page. I literally went through every search engine I could find to get information on this group. They don't exist. If they've done work before, it's not on any website or any municipal website. And so I'm concerned that we're hiring a company to be our economic developer who, as a company, doesn't have a reputation. That said, I've already opened the RFQ, so on the individual level, maybe they do, but that's a concern for me. When you came in for the reorg meeting, at what time did you get the report from Mr. Cardis and Mr. Carlin?
Mr. Cardis gave me the report, and then I hand-delivered it to all the council people and asked them to read it. If they had any questions, they could call Mr. Carlin or Mr. Cardis.
And what time was that, sir?
I don't remember what time, but it was before, the meeting was on a Monday, so it was Saturday, correct.
Okay, because again, and also I did an OBRA to see that document as well, and my concern is that you guys voted for a company that has no record. One of the things that Mr. Carlin spoke about was you're looking at how well they know our town and what they've done. Also similar with Blue Sky. They're a startup. They're in an incubator in Camden, and they've been one of our vendors for the last year. So again, there's a concern that we're not selecting experienced vendors, and the question comes to, well, why? What's the connection? Is it personal? Is it political? Is it financial? And I'll be honest, I have no idea what that connection is, because when it comes to Calori, there's nothing. I have no idea who those principals are. So again, it's a concern. So when you're wondering, why am I up here talking about the fair and open process? Why I'm talking about Matt Boxer's recommendations is these types of things. Why am I pressing pay to play? It's because your top donors are getting contracts and people who aren't donors are not. 50-50 applicant pool to 10 to 3 contract. That's your evidence right there of why I do this. And finally, I just want to follow up. After our last meeting, I had emailed you my response to the Faulkner violations for working for Comcast. Is there any follow-up? Did you receive it? I have not heard from anyone on this topic.
Yeah, I received it. You sent it to me. I don't know if you sent it to other members of council or group. I've gone through it, made some notes. I wasn't directed to give you a response. I didn't think you were requiring a back and forth response from me. I took your opinion and evaluated it, the research that I did and the opinion that I gave, and I stand by my opinion. I think the main issue was the language of the statute, which is strictly interpreted. It talks about contract, interest in a contract or job.
Correct, contract or a job for a vendor who operates a telephone exchange or other public utility. So what Faulkner is saying is it is not the contract, it is the job for someone who operates. So being employed by someone who operates, that's a violation. In fact, in your analysis, you clarified it, that it's the job.
The two statutes are distinguished from each other. That's in the Faulkner Act that you referenced.
Absolutely. So,
Josh, I disagree.
and you are more than welcome to.
I think you're reading a statute and you're incorrectly interpreting it.
Certainly that is your right, and just as it is my right to get clarification on it and know the status of it. Absolutely. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. Mr. Black?
Gladden, 44 Greensway. Couple things. Mr. Lechner, Community Development Director, right? You weren't here last couple of weeks. I just want to give you some information I got. It's very easy to get to. In 2010, our property was $180,000. Our average property was valued at $180,000. In 2011, our average property is now evaluated at $162,000. It's a big loss, right? Last year, I came to almost every council meeting. I haven't heard one report that you gave to the taxpayers, not one. Now I'm looking at, I'm losing a value of $18,000 in my home for another year. Now, honestly, can you say you're giving your all to the taxpayers? That's who pays you. That's where 8,000 of my dollars and my neighbor's dollars goes to pay salaries in this township. Now, as a community development director, you're here to develop the community, right? To make it better, to look at everything, to do some work. In this past year alone, I've seen businesses leave this town. I mean, just leave. I see the houses being put up for sale. I've been seeing neighbors of mine been moving at like all times of the night and day. I see every head down when you drive down the street. Now, you can look at me and you can wick your eyes and all that, but I'm saying to you, you got to do a better job, sir. You're getting paid. I'm not. I'm unemployed. You know, and I look at people, they take pride in their jobs, and there's a lot of people that took pride in their jobs right now that are unemployed. I know guys that went over there to fight for all of us, they come home and they're unemployed. And when I see somebody employed and then they don't even give one report in a whole year to their taxpayers that they work for, sir, I think you got to step up your job a little bit more. I'm not here to judge, I'm just saying. Now, with the Field of Dreams, Mayor, I'll give you a real thing right now. All organizations in town, we got a ton of organizations in town. And I've seen it all in Cherry Hill. I've seen it I've seen it up in Burlington County and a couple times. They do one fit day and they get everybody to come. Like the fire departments, police that have days off, the Rotary clubs, every club in there, and you talk to them and they all show up one day, and I guarantee we can build that in about a weekend.
A weekend?
Yes.
It's going to take a little longer than a weekend.
Yep. They just built a 30-store building in 15 minutes.
This is what we'll do. You're on the committee.
Okay, I'll be on the committee. You can call me out. I'll go on any committee. You know that. I'm not afraid to work. Okay? Another thing. Lenny, not to get on you, but I see down where the football fields are, you know, where the football fields are in Lakeland, I see you got a bulldozer and you're doing the work out there. I'm very proud of that. But, you know what I mean? If you need any help or any assistance, we got to get some dirt out there. Like last year, I felt bad for the kids when we sent them on laps because their legs did get beat up a lot because of the water down there. And I see that you're doing something, so I got to congratulate you on that, sir. Okay, good night.
Darren, I have to address your comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Ken is here all hours of the night. He's doing a wonderful job. You brought up statistics which really don't indicate that he's not doing his job. You brought up a 2008.
2008, sir? It's 2010.
You brought up, I thought you said a 2008.
It said 2010.
180,000 is.
It was 180,349 on average. Now, sir, it's 162,244 in the 2011.
What I think you're not realizing is this is not a Gloucester Township issue. That is a worldwide issue. All real estate is devaluing and has been devaluing, I think, since '05. So I don't know how you can look at that statistic, point to Ken Lechner and say he's not doing his job.
Sir, answer my question. Did he give a report at any council meeting last year for the residents?
He has kept us.
Yes or no? Has he given a report to the taxpayers? Answer that question. It's a simple yes or no.
He reports to the mayor.
But when he's asked after the meeting, what's he asked after the meeting?
That doesn't mean he's not giving a report.
But he got to give a report. Listen, the mayor's not, he's the leader of this town. Correct, sir. But there's taxpayers here. This council meeting is for the informed taxpayers. Like, I come out here at night, I leave my kids, I leave my wife, and I come here and listen to what you, the elected officials, are doing in town with our department heads.
Darren, I think you're being.
The chief, now, see, you think I'm being this way, but all I'm asking for you is to give reports. When you vote yes or no, I have a disagreement why if you say no, if you vote on an issue and you say no, you should state your fact on why you're voting no. You should state the fact on why you're voting yes.
Darren, if you come to the workshops, and sometimes you do,
he sits at the table and he gives us a report. He helps us. I think you're taking a shot at
No,
something.
I'm not taking a shot at somebody. I'm telling you one thing. Tell him to tell us out here. It's okay that he tells you, but keep us informed too, sir. That's a fair and open process. He's a department head, just like the engineer. He should come up with a report every month, say, hey, this is the hockey rink, which he does. He gives out information. The chief is always up for his reports.
Did you address this with Ken Lechner before you stood?
Listen, I don't, it doesn't matter who I addressed it to. I'm addressing it to everybody. This is the community.
So you had an opportunity to speak to Ken.
I have an opportunity to speak to all of you all year long. All last year, I watched you all last year, Dan. And all you want to do is dance around the issues. We are here to disagree. If you think I'm taking a personal attack, I'm not taking a personal attack. All I'm saying is, me and Lenny got in a big argument last year. He took off out of here. But I still respect the man. You know what I mean? I'm just telling you, my community that I see with my own two eyes when I drive down the street is failing in a lot of areas. Okay? And we're wasting money in certain areas of the field of the contract where money's going, where you've got people that are willing to do things out there. I got a buddy of mine that spent 3 years overseas. He can't get no work nowheres. Okay? Because the politics that go on around in the state of New Jersey. You know what I mean? And that right there, it's just amazing. And if you see it, you don't see it. I see it because I'm there every day. I see the guys come back home. And there's nothing, I see kids getting hired as cops, as police officers in towns that are not even veterans. And then we sat here, we sent these guys over across, for a couple of them been over there for 4 years. And they come back here and they're going up against a college kid and they're like, oh, we're hiring a college kid instead of the veteran. Where the government put a lot of training in these vets. And they're getting sidetracked because, oh, our town has an ordinance, you have to go to college for a 2-year degree to become a police officer in town. You know, that's what I see. So when I come in here and you think I'm personally attacking everybody, I'm not personally attacking anybody. I'm just saying what I see. I didn't see a report all year given to any taxpayer in this town about our community, from our community development director. That's it. Got anything else to say, Dan?
I couldn't get a word out edgewise. So
Yeah, I know, because I really, Dan, me and you we're just like oil and water, bro. That's that. Have a nice night.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Jim Williams, 3 Tiffany Place, Sturbridge Oaks. Mr. President, council members, Mr. Mayor, and Mr. Moffa. First, I'd like to say I have no affiliation with the Public Works. All right. But I cannot compliment the Public Works enough. And I wrote it down because I get up here, I get stage fright, and I forget. I'm sorry. It comes with getting old, you know. We had in Sturbridge Oaks a leaf pickup, and again, we had one this year as opposed to 2. And we were told that, once we had our first leaf pickup, just to call, and we have a second one. Well, I just happened to see Mr. Moffa, and I mentioned it to him, and he said, we'll be getting around to your developments shortly. 9 o'clock next morning, they were there picking up the leaves on the whole development. I also want to say, during that leaf pickup, we had some friends visiting from North Carolina, and they were standing there in awe of the trucks and the employees that were coming around with the rakes, the brooms, and picking everything up. And a friend of ours said that he said, everyone that's out there is treating this property as if it were their own. And I think that's a compliment again to Mr. Moffa. And then lo and behold today, it just so happened I was home because I have 10 grandchildren I babysit. I saw a street cleaner come by, and it was just great to see, I'd also like to say to the recycling program, I think it's top shelf, and my hat's off to the organizers and everyone who maintains and is affiliated with the program. It's just, you know, it just is, it's great. I do have one other question, or a few questions, and this is for the red lights. If you're driving up to the red light, and I know there's a solid white line there, let's say you get to that intersection, and you get to the solid white line, and you see the yellow line, and supposedly my wife panicked, and she slammed on the brakes, she said, and she was over the white line. And she said then she stopped and waited, but then she made a right-hand turn, and she said that's what she got the ticket for. If you're at or ahead of that white line, do you have to be behind the white line, that solid line, or on it, or what happens with that?
I mean, keep in mind, there's a video that's actually watched, but typically both wheels will pass over the white line for it to be a violation.
So even if
There's a
you...
lot of variables there, and really the video tells the true story to each circumstance. But
So what if you go over, I mean, the solid line, you stop, your front wheels are over the line, but then you proceed, you're going to get a ticket?
potentially, but I mean, there's so many variables that you're
Yeah, I know.
thinking about. I'd rather say to see the video for myself and say yes. But there are times too when a car would suddenly stop and proceed over to that white line and still stop. That may not be a violation, but I mean, to give the absolute answer for those kind of circumstances, it's the equivalent of actually seeing a violation on the road, and that's why the system's still in place, that they're reviewed first by the corporation, then ultimately by the police, not just an automatic ticket goes out right.
Well, we paid the ticket, so thank you. Thank you, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Don Choice from 10 Felicia Court. I just want to address this to the mayor. I'm very happy to see that we've gone to single stream recycling, and I will say that I'm a very avid recycler. And with that in mind, is there any possible way that we are ever going to go to 2 pickups a week for recycling instead of just 1?
Yeah, we look at that actually. Right now, we can't because it's just cost prohibitive. We would have to, quite frankly, have more trucks on the streets because of the wear and tear. It was explained to me. Plus, hire more individuals to do that. So what we're trying to do is, with a larger container, we're hoping the 96-gallon ones that's sufficient for some. But for avid recyclers like yourself, I know that may pose a problem waiting every other week.
Yeah, my can's overflowing at this point.
Yeah, we are looking at. I mean, we have, and the cans are not cheap, unfortunately. So the individuals can get other canisters, but it's going to cost $35 to get another canister.
You can get that from the municipal department?
You can get that from the MUA. Yes, our municipal utility authority. Yes, sir. And thanks for recycling.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Carr?
Good morning, Carr. On the drive. Happy New Year. I have a question about our field of dreams. I'm glad you're addressing that portion of our community. But I'm wondering, did you have funding planned for it? Or this is what we want and now we're going to finance it?
Correct. I mean, you have to have the dream, and that we have that now, and we have it in a visual context. And now we're going to go out and raise the money. But like I said earlier, it's not just about raising money. It's also donations that contractors can donate, different supplies, material, labor, things like that. So it's not just about monetary value to it. It's also the community coming together in ways that perhaps they have access to, whether it's again labor, material, supplies, to build that dream.
You could divide it into segments. Oh, I'm sorry, but you could divide it into segments and approach some Eagle Scouts.
Yeah,
if you have the project narrowed enough.
Absolutely, but I will tell you, in order to create this field, this is not just a grass field because with walkers and wheelchairs, the field is actually the infield is actually cement that is covered with an artificial grass. because you need that ability to you know, allow for the wheelchairs and the walkers.
Is it similar to what we have out at Veterans Park?
No, this is not, we don't have any of this. I don't even think Camden County has one.
Correct. You can go to Absecon, was it Absecon? Where did we go?
Yeah, we went to Absecon. You should also go on their website because the website, it's a great website to go learn about it. But also to answer that question, Joanne, I did sit down with the people from Absecon, and we very much, when Glenn came up with it and I asked if I can help him, I did sit down, and the money was the biggest thing to say, how are we gonna, you know, bring this to the mayor. So I did sit with them thoroughly, and they gave me a whole list of, in fact, they were the ones to say go right to your Rotary, which the Rotary was right on board. And they also, they will sit down with us, and all their people who donated to them, they want to work with us, so they're going to give us all, because they're large companies, so they're going to give us their names also.
So actually, you have no Green Acres or any grants or funding that's coming that way for it yet,
Not yet, that's correct.
but you are applying.
Not necessarily. Green Acres is for acquisition of those properties, which we already have. We already have the community.
We already have the open
park,
space.
so we already have the property. So the good news is we already have the property, so we don't have to expend money on the property because we have a section of the community park there. So now the issue is how do you get the materials? How do you build this thing? And certainly we can utilize Eagle Scout Eagle Scouts to do certain projects, but this is a little bit more involved than just those projects. So I think the way we're going to approach it, and open to any ideas, is to try to reach out to different segments of the community, come up with a committee, one master committee that's going to take this under their wing, try to move this project forward, and see what we can do to make it a reality.
Apart from that, I know when I brought this up last year about the community park and were we ever going to complete it with the amphitheater and phase 3 or 4, that's when you mentioned about the Field of Dreams. We're moving forward with the Field of Dreams. Do we have any intentions of moving forward with the amphitheater, which is for all of the residents, not just a small population?
My understanding is we are doing it. We're looking at other projects in there, and that's one of them, the amphitheater. And I know that's all part of it.
Well, given the fact that we're fundraising for the Field of Dreams, where will we finance the final phasing for the community park?
When we get to that, we'll address that funding. Obviously, there's a lot of questions, but I think we're just trying to go one step at a time, and this was on the board. So, but I very much support having an amphitheater out there as part of the original program, and when we get to that point, we will work on that also.
Can I expect some kind of timeline as to when we'll finish? I mean, when did we start the community park?
I mean, I'd be giving you false information if I sat here and told you a timeline, unless the mayor has one, but I don't believe he does. It's on the drawing board. It's amongst a lot of things that we need to get accomplished in the township. So we're working on everything and trying to get it in there.
And I know things I prioritize.
Yeah, I can tell you. I mean, Mr. Moffat and I have reviewed the park about 2 weeks ago. We traveled around the park and looked at the potential of that area, which is tremendous. And so we've made great improvements in what is there already, and looking to do the amphitheater in the future as well. That is currently being designed. Once we design it, then we'll understand what the price is and be able to look at how costly that may be. So we are moving forward with different projects there.
I appreciate that. Once we get the price set and everything, would we be fundraising for that as well as the Field of Dreams, or would that be something that the council would set a finance for?
Yeah, that would probably be open space money if we would look at it that way.
What's the difference between that and the Field of Dreams if we own the property?
I mean, I think it's much more, as far as raising money for an amphitheater versus raising money for a Field of Dreams. It is probably easier to raise money for a Field of Dreams. Keep in mind, we don't have a bottomless pit of money here, Joanne, as you very well know. So we have to be very specific as to what we're spending our money for, and strategic about that as far as the long-term viability of that park. And that's what we're doing.
No, I understand we have to prioritize. I just got confused in the fact that we weren't paying for the Field of Dreams with open space money because
I think that came out of the model that Michelle was talking about. That those folks down there had all the civic organizations, had a lot of people donate, and so we're taking that model and we're saying, okay, let's see if we could do it that way. Obviously, we could bond it and fund it, but we don't want to do that, and we rather do it. Plus, it's a community event. I think we all want the community to come out and work on that project together with the Rotary Club, the Lion Club, the Kiwanis, and some of the things that Councilwoman Gentek spoke about. So I think this is more of a community thing. Let's get
a lot of the companies, Joanne, are companies who are already doing things like the Ronald McDonald House. I think pretty sure they had donated something. So it's companies that within their companies they have money that's what they have to do it for.
they're looking for places to donate.
They're looking for places, and you have to fit that certain criteria where the Field of Dreams does.
Thanks for going this way. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Colby Bartola, Ohio Avenue, Blackwood. I'd like to expand on what the gentleman here said. We talked about his wife and the red light. And to the chief, I appreciate what you said about the film being looked at, although from everything I've read, heard, and seen, it's very doubtful in my mind that much discretion is being used. If somebody thinks there's a violation, they're being nailed for it. I don't know who to address this to, but I just would like to make a point with respect to this because we're concerned about safety, I hope, not just raising money. And the other day I was driving down the road that leads into the police station here. What is the name of that road? Eider Lane or whatever it's called. I followed a police detective all the way in. He pulled into the parking lot and parked and continued talking on his cell phone. The point is, it's illegal to talk on a cell phone. And my only point is, let's practice a little bit of discretion to help people. What's the intent here? The intent is to make it safe, not to scare a woman into plowing her brakes on and then not knowing what to do.
Well, that's the whole purpose of it. We had to go through, maybe you're aware of this, but we had to go through the state who had to approve the intersection. There's all kind of data that were given to the state. I mean, we didn't just say, hey, we want it here, here, and there. They had to approve it. As you know, every 6 months it has to be calibrated. They do look at it. There's also, if you don't think it's, the ticket's fair, you can go to court. They sit there, they go over that thing, and the judge will then make his decision along with them. You see it right there. From my understanding, that's what they do. So there is process. If you don't think it's fair or it's right, you can go and
Well, I will say I was in court, okay? I was ticketed at the light I mentioned. Fortunately for me, first of all, my first problem with it was that I always observed that light going green. I was not aware that when there was no traffic there, it turned to red, and I got caught in it because of that. When there's traffic sitting there, the arrow goes green, yellow, and then everything goes green. It's not consistent. When I appeared in court, because the video was not clear, you could not see the arrows on the video, the prosecutor essentially waved me off. He didn't want to hear what I had to say. And I had to go and finally convince the judge. Once the judge set up to show the video, the prosecutor backed off and said, it's not clear. But in just approaching him, trying to make my point, he was not even interested in talking to me. He said, go to trial with it. So there was no mercy or help. Nobody's willing to listen, and I believe that's what the case is. And I'm saying I think we ought to maybe look at it and be a little bit more compassionate, especially when I'm following a detective who's on his cell phone, which I would get a ticket for. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gladden.
Comment on these red lights. 44 Greensway, Darren Gladden. The comment on these red lights. California's taking them down, and a bunch of other states are taking them down, saying they're unconstitutional. How can a computer system judge a human eye? Now, certain people have been trained to drive differently in life, like police officers, firemen, military people, and all that. A split second look down the road, you know what I mean, and turning right could be 2 seconds for one individual and could be 5 seconds for another individual. So there's so much things going on with these red lights on how they're not, you know what I mean, they shouldn't be there. And like I said, I'd rather see a cop give out a ticket than a flashing light that's jeopardizing my kids because somebody's going to slam on a light, brakes real quick because they saw a flash and they can't afford that $85. So as a council, mayor, and everybody else, maybe it's time to take them down.
What happens when that car blitzes through, rather than jamming on the brake, blitzes through and hits somebody?
They're called cameras and watching people drive. There's cameras in towns where they still have dispatchers. See, we don't have dispatchers no more. We got rid of them too. So what happens is the dispatcher watches the cameras on the TV. So when the car comes blitzing by, he can say, hey, officer, car 42, where are you? Can you go get that car that just blitzed by that red light? Thank you. Have a nice day. We got rid of our dispatchers, don't we, Chief? Do we have dispatchers?
No, we still have them.
We still have them? So why can't we have the cameras on the post watching and monitoring the system instead of a computer flashing system? Now, I don't believe in RoboCop. I believe in the real human beings.
Do we have statistics on the reduction in accidents?
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
On Flemington Road?
We have submitted that to the state for evaluation and going through that process, which could be a couple of years because we really need a full year to compare back with the data. That's in process now. Yeah, great.
Anyone else? Mr. Barrett.
Hi, good evening. It's Joshua Barrett again. I just saw what looked to be notes being passed between council members. I just wanted to remind you that they are operable. So again, not only did I see it, but people in the feed saw it as well. So just as a reminder there, common courtesy, guys, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Williams.
Yeah, Jim Williams, 3 Tiffany Place. And what I want to say about these red lights, honestly, I can see the cameras there, and it's just my opinion on people. I mean, you see it all the time. I mean, and it seems like, and the cops can't be anywhere. I mean, everywhere. But it seems as though they're not there whenever they're flying through the red lights. But I think a lot of discretion should be made on people making right-hand turns. I think that's a lot, and I know there's moving right-hand turns that people making that, but again, maybe slowing down, making a right-hand turn, as opposed to flying through a red light, a yellow light, or whatever. And I agree with you that it could be more harmful than anything else, but. I think maybe, I don't know who does it, but I think a lot of discretion or more discretion could be put on people making right-hand turns as opposed to flying through the intersection. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Anyone else? Seeing no other hands, we close the second public portion. Polling of directors and council, please.
Mr. Mazza?
I have nothing reported this time.
Mr. Lechner?
Council President, I just wanted to remind council and the mayor and the public that I post all my department activities regarding the planning board and zoning board bi-weekly on the department website. So it's always there throughout the course of the year.
Thank you, Mr. Whitman.
Chief Earl?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Mr. Carlemere?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Cardis?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Hutchison?
Mr. Lechner, I think you do a fine job. You're a credit to this town. Thank you very much. That's all.
Mr. Schmidt?
I would like to thank everyone for coming out this evening, staying, and thank you for your comments, and have a happy New Year.
Mr. Seiler?
Yes, I would like to offer my congratulations to the Timber Creek football team for their accomplishments. They did an outstanding job. Thank you.
Mrs. Gintek?
I would also like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I'd like to congratulate again the Timber Creek football team. Jim, you do fine at the mic. Don't worry about stage fright. I've been up here 2 years. I still get it. Glenn and the mayor, Glenn, thank you for letting me be a part of the Field of Dreams. When I heard your idea, I just really wanted to be a part of it, so thank you. Darren, I'm looking forward to working with you on the committee. A little frightened, but I'm excited.
Our security.
That was a joke, by the way. Also, I would like to congratulate again for the Gabriella Muscara has won again. She is our Assemblywoman-elect, and she will be sworn in tomorrow. She has held herself with such grace and such dignity, and I would like to congratulate her again. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Mrs. Trotter?
I'd like to congratulate Timber Creek football team for their outstanding season, quite impressive, and thank all of you for coming out and your comments and your sharing your concerns, and have a great week.
Mr. Bianchini?
I'd like to thank all the residents for attending tonight's meeting. I too want to congratulate Timber Creek high school football team for a tremendous season. Going 12-0 is a great accomplishment, and you can see the respect they all have for each other, as well as an outstanding coaching group there. I too am very happy and pleased that the Field of Dreams is going forward, and I thank Michelle for your work and taking, obviously the mayor, thank you for taking the idea, the dream that I had forward, along with Public Works, who's working on that also. As we always try to do, we try to reach out to all aspects of the township and trying to address all their needs, and I appreciate everyone's help in that. With that, I ask for a motion to adjourn. All in favor? All opposed? Thank you. Have a great night.
Hey, Chuck, I went through the hours.
9:25.
Thanks for helping with the sign off.
Well, I guess after it's probably
Or he was coming out of church. We have
Yeah, it's been a while since
a sports car.
Congratulations there. Did I tell you to keep hope alive?
That's right.
And we have it on.